The carbon cycle. Living things rely on their environment to meet their needs. Energy flows through an ecosystem starting with the sun, while matter, like water, carbon, and nitrogen, move through living and non-living parts in a biogeochemical cycle. What this means is that the carbon in you could have once been part of a dinosaur, a boulder, a cactus, or even Albert Einstein. But what is carbon? Carbon is more than a diamond or the graphite in your pencil. Carbon is a chemical element found in all living things. It is part of DNA, proteins, carbohydrates, and even fats. Living things can't make their own carbon. So where does it come from? In the short term, photosynthesis and cellular respiration take up and release carbon. Plants absorb carbon as carbon dioxide from the atmosphere and make sugar. If the plant is eaten, this sugar, and the carbon, is taken in as well. Whether in plant or consumer, this sugar can be stored, used as building blocks for larger molecules, or broken down to release energy and carbon dioxide in cellular respiration. But there's more. When living things die and decay, their carbon is released. Some carbon re-enters the cycle as decomposers break down these tissues. But carbon can also be stored here, underground, in a carbon sink, a long-term storage site for carbon. Given the right circumstances, millions of years and very high pressure, the carbon from dead animals and plants becomes what we know as fossil fuels. When factories, cars, power plants, and planes burn fossil fuels, you guessed it, they release carbon dioxide back into the atmosphere. If there's more carbon dioxide in the atmosphere than plants can absorb, it is absorbed by another carbon sink, the ocean. This affects the ocean's chemistry, changing its acidity. And too much carbon dioxide in the atmosphere has another effect. Carbon dioxide is a greenhouse gas, trapping heat from the sun. Although this means the carbon dioxide prevents planet Earth from freezing over, it also means that as factories, cars, power plants, and planes release this gas, the Earth is also getting warmer. Each year, 5.5 billion tons of carbon is released by burning fossil fuels. On a much, much, much longer timescale, carbon moves through the geological part of the cycle. Over millions of years, rocks are weathered, and carbon is added to water, and eventually the ocean. At the bottom of the sea, limestone from shells, bones, and coral can also be released back into the atmosphere from melting or changes where two of Earth's tectonic plates meet, called the subduction zone. Psst. Hey, if you're still listening, carbon is actually released in a few more ways. By burning carbon-rich forests, or in agriculture as methane released by, well, these two, believe it or not, have an impact on our global climate. As we add carbon to our atmosphere in quick and new ways, we impact the carbon cycle and our planet. Because of our links, our interconnections, our actions have impacts. And at the root of these same relationships, we also have the opportunity to innovate. What possibilities will you, along with your carbon from Einstein, imagine to tip this cycle back to a healthier, cooler balance?